We start this half hour with the best of the best in the U.S. Armed Forces and what they have to go through to get there. Weekend Today Soledad O'Brien is at the Special Ops Combat Dive School in Key West, Florida. Soledad, good morning.
And good morning to you. And the Special Forces Combat Dive School is about pushing limits. Over the next 4 weeks, the students will learn to push themselves physically, challenge themselves mentally. They will learn the logistics of infiltration from the sea, and they will learn to survive the stress of underwater combat. These are some of the military's toughest men, human fighting machines, brought to Key West, Florida for a challenge designed to weed out the merely great from the absolute best.
Bending your back already, we just got started. The weak link.
Over the next 5 weeks, 51 men from the Army, the Air Force, and the Marines will be pushed beyond their physical limitations and discover just how mentally tough they really are.
It's our way, or you guys are gone. You go home.
The goal is to earn a spot as a combat diver, an elite corps that's among the first to infiltrate enemy lines.
They can carry a rucksack, they can carry extra weight. If something goes wrong, it's not even going to faze them. They'll fix it.
Believe it or not, this is a volunteer assignment. At 31, Green Beret Sergeant Joshua Morton is one of the oldest.
That's half the challenge. The desire to know that I can do what most people can't.
A year ago, 20-year-old Airman First Class Adam Molson didn't know how to swim.
Most of it's on you to will yourself to do it.
All the way out, Castro!
Airman First Class Jacob Castro, just 19, is one of the smaller guys in this class.
It's pretty tough so far. Just gonna have to keep muscling my way through it, I guess, trying to get everything down.
Students learn physics, diving physiology, about tidal waves and currents, and how to deal with dangerous marine life. In week 2, underwater training. For many, this is the most difficult part of the course. Physically grueling, emotionally exhausting.
They're pretty tough young guys, and they want to be here. They want it to be that way. At the end, they want to say, that was a difficult school. Those guys were madmen, and I'm glad I graduated.
Airman First Class Andrew Lauheed knows how tough these drills are. This is his second time here.
A little more confident this time around, and I think I'm gonna make it through this.
There's the weight belt swim. Students strapped to 12-pound weights swim laps for 7 minutes. No stopping, no holding on.
Are you listening to me? Hello?
The 5-minute tank tread. With nearly 100 pounds of gear, students tread water with their hands held high in the air.
Let go of the pool and get out there.
Bad news for Airman First Class Castro. He's become the focus of the instructors. It's not a good sign.
Mr. Castro, you're starting to annoy me. You're not trying. You're not doing the exercise. You're not doing anything that I told you to do.
Army Ranger David Bucknam is one of the 10 teachers, a graduate of the course in 1997. He says it's harsh, but the goal is paramount, to save lives.
We try to stress them out. The water is unforgiving, and anything can happen out there.
A sloppy mistake in combat could be a fatal one.
Look at that. Flares upside down.
By late afternoon, the men are in open water for a 1,000-meter swim. Today's test is critical. How fast each man swims will determine who he's paired up with for the remainder of the course. The fastest are matched. No one wants to be paired with the slowest.
Hey, Castro. Take your feds off, mask down.
It is not Airman First Class Castro's day. He makes it to shore 7 minutes behind the rest of the class.
That's pitiful. You disappointed me once this morning. Now you've disappointed me twice.
Remember Adam Molson, who a year ago couldn't swim? He finishes 8th. The challenges are not only physical.
I know I definitely have the mental toughness, and it's just the physical stuff that's going to get me.
Technically, it's really difficult. There's a lot of actually classroom studying as well, and that's never been one of my strongest points, so that worries me more than anything, truthfully.
For Airman First Class Castro, disaster. By day's end, he's asked to leave. He'll have a chance to try again.
Couldn't hold their standards right now, but I will be able to. I know I will.
By the end of the course, a third of the students will be dropped or quit. Sergeant Morton says he is determined to make it.
I won't allow myself to quit, so, succeed or die.
The next few days will really tell. In fact, tomorrow there is an incredible test for the students. It is a test called the one-man confidence test. It is probably the most rigorous test of skills underwater. The students are blindfolded, then they're disoriented. They are stripped of their gear, and they have about 30 seconds to recover their air supply before they pass out underwater. As you can imagine, at this point, many of the students just aren't able to make it. But for those who do, they develop a confidence in the water that could one day save their lives in combat. It is dramatic to see, and we're going to be underwater live with them coming up a little bit later in the show. And back to you.
All right, so that we'll be checking in with you later to see that test. Thanks for your report. And now let's go.
So coming up, we're going to check back in with the Special Ops Combat Dive School, the elite fighting force that's training down in Florida. Right now, the students are putting on more than 100 pounds of gear as they get ready for their grueling pool exercise. I was tired just watching the first tape on that. I mean, that is tough stuff, but they are the best of the best when they're done with that school.
It goes to show you what men and women in uniform are willing to put themselves through, you know, to be well trained for anything.
Anyway, Soledad O'Brien's going to bring us more of that. Before we get to that, but first, we want to check in with Weekend Today's Soledad O'Brien, who's down at the Special Ops Combat Dive School in Florida. Soledad?
Sound tough? We're going to show you the toughest test in the military. When we come back and go live underwater. But first, these messages.
We don't. Well, thank you. And now let's check back in with Soledad O'Brien, who's underwater with Major David Shue, the commander of the Special Ops Combat Dive School. Good morning, Soledad.
Good morning to you, Ann. What we're going to demonstrate for you this morning is called the one-man confidence test. It is probably the most grueling event to test water skill in the military. Major David Shue is the commander of the school. Good morning to you, Major. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about this test.
The one-man competency test puts the diver, the student, to the worst case scenario that he may.
You call it the confidence test. Are you testing confidence or are you testing actual skill underwater?
We're testing a skill, and once that student has successfully been able to pass this test, we'll feel confident that he can be allowed to dive in the open ocean.
You've got two of your instructors this morning to demonstrate for us. Why don't you get the test underway?
Yes, the instructors are Sergeant Robert Gershom and Sergeant Coulter. What they are doing, the instructor has replaced the student's mask with a black mask, basically a blindfold. Right now we are in phase 1 of the test, and the instructor is simulating an ocean surge. A diver may encounter this surge while he was trying to come onto shore.
It looks incredible. Just how risky is what they're doing here in the water right now?
This is a very risky test, and because of that, we have safety divers, safety swimmers, an ambulance, and a medical officer on station whenever this is happening.
We see the instructor rip the air supply from the student's mouth. What are you testing there?
The worst case scenario in water is to lose your air source. And we train the students, no matter what happens, to focus on recovering his air source.
For the purposes of our demonstration, each of these phases is only lasting about a minute. How long would the test really last if the students were doing it for real?
The students will be tested on this. The entire test will take about 20 minutes.
You were a student here. You took the test and passed it. What's going through the student's mind as you're underwater, you've lost your air supply?
What we hope is going through the student mind, what we've trained the student to do, is to focus on recovering his air source. The test is that the student begins to panic and begins to lose focus on recovering his air source.
So how much is success program psychological, and how much of it is just physical, gutting it out?
The people that will be successful in school are the people that can learn to relax when others panic. It's mostly mental.
What's going on now?
Right now, this is the final phase of the test, and the instructor has put an unrecoverable air source in the student's system. The only way the student can get a breath of air is to remove his whole system and find the regulator by feet because he's still blindfolded.
How much time does he have once he's lost his air source to get a breath from his tanks before he'll pass out from lack of air?
Well, by the time the student receives an unrecoverable air source, he's almost out of it. It may be about 30 to 45 seconds.
This is a test that you're going to put your guys through tomorrow. Of the 48 students who remain in the program right now, what percentage is this test going to be too tough for them to make it?
Traditionally, statistically, 10 to 15% of the students will not pass this test the first time they take it.
It's obviously incredible to see. We certainly wish all the guys good luck with it. Major Sheila, thank you for joining us underwater this morning. I appreciate it, and absolutely to your instructors as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we're going to go back to the studio. Back to you, Ed.
All right, Weekend Today Soledad O'Brien, thank you so much. And also thank you to Major David Shue for that amazing demonstration this morning.